Hello YouTube, Luigi here. The title of this video is called the SKMEI GOGASA, cheap or merely inexpensive. You know, anybody who's spent any time at all looking for watches online will note that there are a whole pile of watches out there for 1 cent, 1 penny. And the shipping is usually about $9. So you can get a watch, and some of these look really good for a penny plus $9. So say you get a good looking watch for $10. Is it any good? Is it going to fall apart in a month? I don't know. I wouldn't take a chance on a 1 penny watch. And by the same token, there's a whole bunch of watches out there for $1. A whole bunch, and they look really good, some of them. And the same thing obtains. $9 shipping. So you can get a watch for $10. And maybe that's somebody's price point, and maybe that's okay. But I wouldn't buy a watch for a penny, and I wouldn't buy a watch for $1. But I did buy this watch for $15, and I didn't just buy it. I did a lot of research on this manufacturer, SKMEI. Some people say SKMEI, but I don't see a vowel between the S and the K, so I'm not going to make that a syllable. I'm just going to say SKMEI. And surprisingly, every one of the people who reviewed this on YouTube, this manufacturer, I couldn't find this exact watch, said, you know, for the price I paid, I was expecting a real piece of junk. And they all comment on how robust it is and how happy they are with the purchase. Of course, this is not a one-year review. They're just talking about their first impressions. So the title of the video is cheap or just merely less expensive. And I want to give a tiny little vocabulary lesson here. Let's say you bought a Rolex for $50,000. And then you bought a Patek Philippe for $100,000. Most of you say, because I've heard you say it, most of you say, oh, the Rolex was cheaper than the Patek Philippe. Well, there's nothing cheap about a Rolex. The Rolex was less expensive than the Patek Philippe. Cheap, everybody listen carefully. Cheap means flimsy, shoddily built out of inferior materials, cutting quality control corners at every turn to get something of very, very low price and bad quality out in the marketplace. So you cannot say, you should not say, the Rolex is cheaper than the Patek Philippe, because it's not. It's merely less expensive than the Patek Philippe. And that's what we're going to try to find out about this watch. Is the SKMEI a cheap watch, or is it an inexpensive watch? And like I say, other people, I relied on their comments, and they were all impressed. So let's get into it. Enough with vocabulary lesson here. This is a 43 millimeter IP plated, quote, won't fade coating on a stainless steel case. This 43 millimeter, I have to say this is the perfect size for me. This comes in other colors. I went for the yellow. It's got big bold hands, big numerals at 12 and 6, and applied indices with color. There is no lume anywhere on this watch. No lume anywhere. Now remember, it's a $15 watch. You see a small date window. I wish it were larger, but at least it's black on white. The contrast is good. And I'm beginning to understand the Cyclops. I sort of don't like what they do to a crystal in terms of looks, but I understand their function. There's no day of the week, but we do have the date. I'll show you the back. I think this is the GOGASA 1221, and that because it says that here. You can see it says it has 3 atmospheres, you know, so what's that, 30 meters of water resistant, 3 ATMs. You know, it's got a leather strap, a 20 millimeter leather strap with 2 keepers. One is fixed and sewn in, and there's a acid etching, it looks like, SKMEI on the buckle. Kind of subtle, and I like that. It's not overly advertised. White stitching, 20 millimeters. This is a good size for me. It weighs 53 grams. And it's 10 millimeter thickness, so it's not really a thick watch, you know. 10 millimeter thick, and the lug to lug is 50 millimeters. Now, let's talk about the face. It's a black face with the seconds in small numerals running around the office. Now I want to show you the tag this came with. This is chipboard, okay? It's not. But look at the graphics. I think that's an interesting piece of graphics. I researched this company on Wikipedia, and let me tell you what I found out. And there's the Chinese stuff. They have only been in business since 2010, and they are in Guangzhou, China. Now, as I remember, this is the city that's their big high-tech corridor, similar to our Silicon Valley. And so this is, and I've seen their headquarters online. This reminded me of it. It looks like Google's headquarters, okay? This is not a flimsy operation. It is a high-tech operation in a high-tech district of China. And when I saw their corporate offices, I was impressed. They've been around since 2010. They have 300 employees, and the reason you may not have heard of them is only 10% of their watch market is in North America. So I wouldn't be too quick to say for $15 it's got to be a piece of junk. I synced this, hacked it this morning, which was over 12 hours ago, and it's keeping time to the second. I like the way the second hand moves because it hits the indices dead on, right on the button, right on the money. There was one little unfortunate episode. This came with a dead battery, and that bothered me. It had no little plastic spacer here to keep to turn the watch off, in effect. So for as long as this has been sitting on some inventory shelf, it was probably running the battery down. And I had options. I didn't want to return it. I didn't want to waste the time. I liked the way it looked. So I threw $10 at it this morning on a battery. And the jeweler who looked at this said, "Wow, that's a really good looking watch." And he also is a collector. So it wasn't just my eyes. $15, I took a chance. This might be a real sleeper company, people. And I'm just happy to introduce it to you. And I'll follow this up. If it falls apart, I'll be the first one to tell you. But you never know. SKMEI. What was that number again? 1221. It's called the GOGASA. GOGASA. And that's all I got to say. God bless you. I love you all. Take good care out there. Bye-bye.